Okay, welcome to Authentic Conversations, and I'm happy to invite Peggy Lynch to the show today, and especially as we're going into a new year of 2023. Peggy is an astrologer, a writer. Her company is gemstars.ca, and more importantly, she's going to talk about what's happening for 2023 in an overview, because we're not going to deep astrology. That's just not, we're here for conversation, not study, but also just how, from being a police officer for many, many years, how astrology has helped in that field of work and how it could help others in, you know, maybe counseling or maybe just trying to figure out their own life, how astrology can broaden your view on what's happening. And yeah, we're excited to have you.
Thank,
Welcome.
thanks for the invitation, Adele. Yeah, with a
So,
chance meeting.
yes,
There's no
yes,
chances.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, like so Peggy and I met at a market in Calgary, and my friends were just saying, you have to meet Peggy, you have to meet Peggy. And I'm like, why do I have to meet Peggy? And they said, because like you'd have a great conversation. And I said, okay, well, I have authentic conversations. So here we are.
Here we are.
So let's start off with a little bit of, because we are, into 2023. What does that mean as an astrologer? What can people, because we are coming through a big transition. And the last couple of years, for people I've talked to, they've been saying, we can't keep going like this. Is there hope? Can we, what can we grasp that will help us move forward?
Yeah.
So what do you have to say to that?
Well, a transition, change, pick a word that works for you is inevitable in
Yes.
life generally. And collectively, we are all going through this shift. I mean, there's many different ways of looking at it through an astrology lens. What's going on in the sky affects us here on Earth. That's my, you know, mm, whether you believe it or not, I don't need you to believe it. I don't convince anybody. Everybody's got their own belief system or no belief system, whatever is perfectly fine. I like to use astrology as a language to make sense of what's going on around us. So it
And I just want to,
helps me process. Yeah.
yeah, I just want to capture that too, because what these podcasts are all about is just an awakening, a way of showing you there's maybe a different avenue to look at, there's a different possibility that you can look at, but ultimately you are the guide for you. You have to listen to your heart and your gut and know what's best for you. You might turn this on and say they're talking smack, and you go,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing.
I know. Sound like my
Right?
family at Christmas.
Yeah, like you just like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
not for
that's fine.
everybody, and that is absolutely fine, but find your people. And that's what this show has come about was,
Yeah.
I just want to share beautiful people like Peggy and other people I've had on the show and will continue to have on the show. And whoever resonates will follow up. Whoever doesn't, thanks
Yeah.
for tuning in for as long as you tuned in. So, okay, carry on.
Okay. Oh, well, I just, there you can look at big periods of change. You can look at, we've heard since I was born, um, we're going into the age of Aquarius. We're going into the age of Aquarius. I mean, Fifth Dimension sang about it in the 60s.
Yeah.
And now we're beginning to see
What the
actually
song
what
was
that
about.
might look like, and the ages in astrology go backwards. So we're leaving the age of Pisces and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And without getting into too much about the archetypes of those signs, it is a 26,000 year procession. So it's like we're in an age for about 2,000 years or so. And, if you think of Pisces things, which is, belief systems and God, and all of us are in this together, this is one of the great religions of the world in the last.
And the masculine energy, not male energy, right?
Pisces?
Yeah. Isn't it more the
Um,
masculine? Well, not
I
even masculine, more like how I think of Pisces is more of like the dominant, the
mm, I don't, I mean, we can all be dominant. We
yeah,
don't want to categorize signs too much because they each have their own expression based on the person's life experiences, their
yeah,
past life experiences, their present circumstances. That's why there's no, I'm an Aries. There's no, other Aries exactly like me. But we
yeah.
might share some characteristics or some reactions or some actions
Hmm.
that are similar.
Hmm.
But I think for me, most of the signs, and as I was saying with you earlier, that I was a cop for 27 years. And so I said that was my 27 years of astrological research because you
Right.
could see people. That was a cop ask you name and date of birth. I knew the sign of the sun sign, not their whole
Mhm.
chart, just the sun sign.
Yeah,
And you start seeing these patterns and you say, maybe there's something to this astrology,
yeah,
and and I used it when I would go in and interview people because there's a new person to you and you want to get some information from them. What's the best way to approach them? Well, every good detective had their methods, and
hmm,
I wasn't a good detective. I was just a regular constable, but you got to interview people, talk to people, and I would approach a Gemini quite differently than I would approach a Scorpio. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
If and it seemed to work.
Yeah.
So whether it did or not, I'm not here
Well,
to
and even
judge.
even me who I dabble in astrology, I dabble in the different things. Um, I go by the feel. If I'm coming up to approach you and talk to you, am I getting the warm fuzzies or am I getting the cold shoulder?
Mm,
Well, for me as a Sagittarius, that could just be like, well, you're a Capricorn and I'm a Sagittarius, like, until we get to know that we actually could like each other, it is a bit of cold shoulder,
mm.
right? But an
Well, and
Aquarian,
then
I'm
that's
just like,
language.
yay, you're my buddy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're both fire signs. So,
Hmm.
fire, the Leos, Aries, and Sagittarius are the fire signs, and they approach life, meet life through what interests them. Oh,
Yeah.
what's that? Oh, what they go for where there's fuel. Fire needs fuel. So,
Hmm.
what is of interest? So they meet through their gut.
Yeah.
The air signs, well, maybe I'll just go through the elements
Yeah.
now.
That'd be
Talk about
awesome.
the elements. The air signs, which are your Aquarians, your Libras, and your Gemini, meet the world through their intellect, through their logic, processing, knowledge. I need to know
Hmm.
more. I need to think about it longer, says the Libra. I need to see how we're going to use this in the future, says the Aquarius. And like the Gemini is just like the reporter of the zodiac. What's that? What's that? What's that? Very kind of magpie energy, wants to know
Yeah.
a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
And then you have the water signs. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
Okay.
And they meet the world through their emotions. How does it make me feel? What's the feeling I'm getting? So it's a sensitivity to everything around them, not just people.
Yeah.
So that can be very hard in this world. And that's why sometimes they get overwhelmed.
And then they lash.
Lash, build walls, retreat.
Hmm.
The Cancer, the crab, think of the
Hmm.
crab. The Scorpio, water signs, if the crab is that first youngest of the water signs, so it's like water flowing. The
Hmm.
Scorpio is more fixed in their ideas, more like ice, water that's turned
Hmm.
to ice. And then Pisces is like vapor. It's water turning to vapor. They're all over the place. They'd rather be going home by a river than dealing
Oh,
with
that's
details,
hilarious.
than dealing with the details of life, right? And then the earth signs, the Tauruses, Virgos, and Capricorns of the world, they meet life through practical details, through their senses. You think of senses, I'm not talking about sensitivity of the heart or emotion, I'm talking about their
No.
senses, what they
Like their eyes, their smell,
see,
their
hear,
touch.
touch. Is there a threat? It's about survival. Is there a threat?
Wow.
So it's like I need some predictability,
Mm-hmm.
I need to control to a certain
Mm-hmm.
degree, plan, for eventualities. So they're very in this earthly plane. So when you get a water sign and an air sign meeting, it can be very much like um, the earth could provide stability for the water. So if water doesn't have a vessel, it goes all over the place, and the
Yeah.
earth can provide that. And if the earth is so dry it has no water, it's not very usable. It's not
But then
potent
the water comes and nourishes it.
and nourishes. I mean, we need all the elements, right?
Yeah.
But it's sometimes harder for some of us to understand what another person needs because we're not wired that way.
Well, and just that summary, like even for what I know, like that summary is just bringing it down to such the basic level of if I'm a fire and I end up in a relationship with the water,
Mm.
it will diffuse me a bit, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Maybe I'm too flaring everywhere that I don't have any focus. And they
Yeah.
go, just let's calm down, come and do a few ohms by me, right? And like we talked about before, about, having your Zen place in the world, right? And mine is lots of trees by the water. Like I have all the elements in the one park that I love that is my Zen place,
Mm.
right? And that I
Yeah.
grew up in,
Yeah.
and I, not that I don't like other parks are fine to visit, but I always come back to my Zen.
Yeah. Well, and you know, your sun sign is Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
All the other planets were in the sky when you were born, and they make up other parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a very earthy moon.
I have a very fire chart.
Is it fire? Right. Um, all I'm saying is we're not only
Yeah.
one thing. Like
Yeah, no, but I'm
you
just
might have
saying,
a
like,
lot of planets in earth signs, which would make you a more grounded fire sign. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? And how you say you go there and you refill yourself
Mm-hmm.
in this park. And for
Mm-hmm.
other people, it's other ways. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and often I think in life, I don't know if this is part of our upbringing or part of our survival mechanisms. We like people who do the same thing we do because we understand that. And when
Yeah.
somebody comes in who does something different, we don't always trust it right away. We have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, spend some time with that. And some people are more open to new ways of doing things than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I find a lot of, I had a practice for 15 years seeing clients,
Mm-hmm.
COVID, and that we parted ways. My business and I parted ways during COVID. And I did do some um, sessions on Zoom, but it wasn't for me. In client work, I like having the person here because I do other things, not just astrology.
Yeah.
So it was good for me. I lost my train of thought. I am over 65, just saying.
It's
This might happen a few times.
all good.
Bring me back. Were you listening? Bring me back to where I was.
It's just like our sun sign is the time we were born. Then we have our moon sign, the time we were born. We have every planet, everything goes into it. And then it's like even someone knowing their sun sign, their moon sign, and their north node.
Ascendant. They're ascendant.
Ascendant,
The
which
ascendant. Those
is
are the three parts of the chart that if I had a new
what's the
client,
ascendant?
the ascendant is your rising sign. So it's what was on the eastern horizon the moment you were born. And that's why astrologers want your exact birth time
Okay.
because it changes every few minutes, the degree of it. And that's what sets up the whole chart, the chart with the 12 houses. And we plot where all the
How
planets.
would one that isn't into astrology
You have
find
to
their
have a
sign?
chart done. There
Okay.
is a good, if you know your exact birth time, that helps a lot. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Clients will go to the here in Alberta. through Vital Statistics, you go to a registry's office and you order a long form birth certificate, not just a birth certificate, because the time's not on that.
Yeah,
Long form, of course, it costs you, probably
$20.
$60. No,
No, I think it's
it's
20.
it's for a long form, it's 60.
Oh,
The long
okay.
form, you get everything about that the hospital submitted to the government, including your time of birth. But there isn't a website that's really good. It's got fabulous articles if you're wanting to dip your toes in. It's all free. You can cast up
Mhm,
to 100 charts for free. And it's called astro.com, astro.com. They're out of Switzerland. It's very professional. They don't send you emails every day. You might get a couple a year, but
mhm,
it's a very good website. And you can plug in your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth.
mhm.
City, not not the general
Yeah,
hospital or
yeah,
your city of birth. And if it doesn't find it on the map, if you're from somewhere where there's 4 people in the town, probably won't find it. The next biggest city to that,
yeah.
or
Yeah,
town.
I've used them a lot over the years.
Yeah, astro.com. You can do quite a bit with that without having to, and if anybody wants a chart, just email me and I can send you your chart. Takes me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
So
that's, yeah.
what do you have to say for 2023?
Oh my gosh. Well, a
Because
few
I
things
know
that
we're right now we're in a big portal opening for the Aquarian age to start coming in. How
happen.
far that means, I'm not sure, but I know that.
Yeah. Well, there are a few things happening. The biggest shift this year is in 2008, Pluto, which scientists say is not a planet, it's a dwarf. That really pisses him off. Uh,
Yeah.
and Pluto in
They just have the
astrology,
scientists just have to have Pluto come wreck their chart for a while and then they'll be
well,
quiet.
he will get his revenge. Pluto will get his revenge.
I know. I just got
Pluto,
rid of
the
them.
type of astrology that I was trained in and what I practiced was called evolutionary astrology. So it's looking at the chart through the eyes of what are we here to evolve? What did we
Right.
bring from our past and what are we here to move forward this life? And Pluto is very much a piece of that puzzle. It stays in a sign anywhere from 20 years, give or take a few years. So it's a very generational sign. So
Oh,
if you
interesting.
were born, like I was born when Pluto was in Leo, well, for the next 20 years, everybody born had Pluto in Leo. So it's not a very personal planet, not like the
Hmm.
moon that changes every 28 days. It goes through all the
You're
signs.
right.
It takes Pluto 248 years to go through all the signs.
Right.
So when it changes signs, it's a big deal. And we had 2008, it went into the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn
Don't
is
I know that?
all our systems. And what's the very first thing it did when it got into 2008 was the financial collapse.
Yeah.
All our systems have to change. The banking system, the education system, all these things as societies have built up have to be taken apart, theoretically,
Hmm.
to be rebuilt in the age of Aquarius, which is
Hmm.
where Pluto is going now.
Right.
It's going to be changing into Aquarius over the next year. And we have a little glimpse of it. What are the dates?
Well, and it's also and correct me if I'm wrong, but Pluto is also the catalyst of America getting its independence in 1776. This is the first time it's kind of come back its 247 cycle and said, okay, we're here to wake you up again. We're here to just shake you up again. Are
Yeah,
you stepping up to the plate to move forward?
yeah.
Right. And so it's like, yes, it might be in your personal sign of Capricorn or Leo or whatever, because it was just causing me havoc in my Capricorn. But it's also part of the shakeup of like, what's true for you?
Mhm.
What structures in your personal life do you go, is that really working for me?
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be bad.
Oh, no, no.
It's just a thing to say, well, here's a spotlight. Are you liking what you're reading?
Yeah.
I'm not liking what I'm
Pluto is
reading.
all about deep transformation.
Yeah.
Pluto isn't about change. It's not like taking these glasses off and putting other glasses on. It's about taking my eyes out, fixing them with my eyes back in.
Yeah.
It's deep transformation. And as a society, that's tough to do. So what does Pluto in Capricorn give us? Financial system, it gives us well, it doesn't give us, I want to be careful. We had the pandemic. Like how many systems it shows you behind the scenes.
Well, and I look at it as
And
it
look at
shook
what
out the
happened.
darkness,
Well, it
right?
is all about the dark. It's all about the things that we don't want to talk about.
Hmm.
Pluto is all about, but Pluto comes along. Look at that shit show we call the health system. Look at our old folks' homes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use S words, but you know what I mean? It's about
Yeah.
totally showing us now, and the generation that was born with Pluto in Scorpio, that's when all the teens got goth. They got dark. They got,
Oh,
you know what I mean,
interesting.
into so we look at each generation also has a job to do when Pluto's in your generation. And now Pluto is going into Aquarius. So I think of Aquarius as robots. And what's the newest thing that's showing up is AI. AI can write
Right.
reports for us. We can ask it a question, it'll give us the answer. It's like we don't have to be here. Pretty soon
Yeah,
we'll have
that
a chip
makes it.
somewhere, maybe not while I'm alive, but we'll have a chip somewhere. We won't have to carry anything. Your ID, you'll be that's Aquarius thinking. Aquarius thinking is I was married to an Aquarian, and rather than look after me when I was sick, like a good Virgo or Pisces would do, he would rather have gone to the university, studied for 5 years, found the cure for the cold so that no one would ever have to have a cold. They're not the type to sit with you and hold your hand and go, oh, poor
Yeah.
you. It's kind of like, I'm off. I have a mission and I have to make it better for everyone. That's a
Mhm.
very Aquarian thought. It's hard for some Aquarians to be close to people because they love everybody. I want to love everybody. I can't make you more special than
But
someone else.
it's really interesting because the Aquarians I know in my life, they want to make it good for everybody, but they tend to be on the loner side.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I can't spend more time with you than I do with everyone else.
So they just
And I'm
retreat
here to
to
think.
themselves.
I'm here to think. You're interfering
Wow.
with my thinking. The when and I ask people to always look to their opposite if they want to learn more about themselves. So the opposite sign of Aquarius, which is us, we energy, is Leo. Leo is me. Leo
Me.
is, yeah. I'm going to just take a little quick romp around. So the Aries is the baby of the zodiac, right? The
Okay.
baby of the zodiac. Hmm. And when a baby arrives in this planet, it takes a lot of energy to get born, first of all.
Hmm.
Can only see this far. Its eyes are not developed past itself. And that's an Aries theme.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't have friends and love it, but instinctively, I can see this far. The opposite of Aries is Libra. And Libra's like this. They're so concerned about the people on the other side of the hand, they don't even see their hand sometimes. You see that they're
Oh,
invested in
wow.
others. They want to be accepted, get along. I'm not
Yeah.
sure who I am. I got to make things right. Let's have peace. Let's negotiate. Aries,
Yeah.
I don't give it what you think. The Aries, self-contained. Libra needs people. And the need for the people is not like an emotional need. It's like I need mirrors around me to show me who I am. And if
As a
I
Libra.
if I piss people off, I won't have mirrors. So I need to be nice. Yeah.
Interesting.
I need to wear the right things. I have to look. the part. I have to drive the right car. It's not really to impress. It's just not to offend. That's
Oh,
Libra.
and
Not want to offend.
that's a clincher wording statement,
Mm, yeah.
right? So what
Don't
about
want to
Taurus?
offend.
Who's Taurus?
Taurus is the toddler of the zodiac. Taurus is, oh my gosh, here I am in my crib. I need food and I need a blankie.
Yeah.
They meet the
So we're gonna let you know
first
what we
sign.
need.
First sign, I have to look after my body. I have to like, why?
Yeah.
Why? I need. So for Taurus, a lot of their life is about survival. If I have a roof over my head, food in my belly, the rest doesn't matter. Don't drag me into emotions. Don't, like, let's keep things practical. Let's be useful. And the opposite of that is Scorpio. And Scorpio just
I can see that.
wants they need to understand things emotionally at a deeper level. So they can complicate the simplest thing. Why did they look at me like that? I wonder what he was thinking last night. He must have been, like they can build a story where Taurus is
Thin
just
air.
simplify. I
Okay.
mean, I'm simplifying this whole little romp.
No, I know, and
Of
I
course.
appreciate that.
But
It's
it's
just
just that to
if people want
understand,
more, they can come and dig for more.
and I
Okay,
say,
so
Aries could learn from Libra to be more considerate. Libra can learn from Aries to be more courageous and
mhm,
say what they want. Taurus can learn from Scorpio about how emotion works in the world.
mhm.
And by pushing it down, Taurus, you're not getting rid of the emotion.
No,
You're
it's
just
just gonna
repressing.
blow up one day.
Right. And Scorpio can learn from Taurus. Oh, I guess this isn't all that complicated. Maybe I should just simplify.
Chill.
Chill.
Yeah.
And then we get into Gemini. Gemini, we talked a little bit about, the report of the zodiac. They're the first grader. I want to make new friends. Oh, what's that about? What's that? Was that a tree? Oh, that's nice. Oh, a bird. They're like magpie energy. There's something shining at their attention and they're excited. And so they're the information gatherers. And across the zodiac is the Sagittarians. And the Sagittarians kind of like sitting back going, okay, you Gemini, when you've finished all your running around getting info, bring it to me. I'm going to make sense of it.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Right.
that's so
So
funny. That's
the
my sister and
Sagittarius
I.
like the editor of the newspaper, and the Gemini's the reporter gathering information. And
Oh, if I only knew this one as 4.
well, maybe
But
someday in the age of
no, but I
Aquarius,
did
you might
I
have
did figure it out though. I
you
did
might
figure
have
it out.
astrology is ruled by Aquarius. So maybe with Pluto going through Aquarius, maybe that will part of the school curriculum will be astrology or
Yeah.
something like it that gives language to these personality traits. Yeah. So the Sag looks over the Gemini and goes, "Oh my God, you're running your tail off, like, and you're over here, you're over there. You don't believe anything. You keep changing your ideas." And Sag can get so stuck in their beliefs. My truth is truer if I can convince you that it's true. That's a
Well,
Sag
yeah, I
energy.
agree with
Maybe an unskillful Sag, I should
and
say.
I agree with that until COVID. Because COVID I went, do I really care if they think what I think? No.
Mhm.
I honor where you are in your path, but I know where I am in mine.
That's
And
the,
it took the world shutting down for me as a Sag to go,
yeah.
my truth is my truth. It doesn't mean it's your truth.
I have a son that has 6 planets in Sagittarius, so very poor planning on my part having babies. And he his whole life, my whole mission has been to teach him the word and.
Yeah.
You can be right and I can be right. And we're saying 2 different things. Well, no, this is the way it is. Well, let's step back a second.
I had to add
But
and I was a yes, but a yes, but
yes, but,
yeah.
yeah.
I've got an and an or.
And then the next is our first water sign, Cancer. So
Mhm.
this is the teenager who's so we had the baby, we had the toddler, the first grader, and now we have I just got my hormones. Cancer, oh, I feel everything. Oh my God, you made me mad. So they have all these emotions. They don't know where they came from. So it must be your fault. So there might be a little blaming there. And I'm talking, I could go around the zodiac telling you all the wonderful qualities, but these are the ones that stick in our grit. Is,
Well,
you know,
yeah, these
the
are the ones
grit
that we
that
got to
kind
be
of
aware
like,
of.
okay, so and they can be, they would much rather be alone because then they're not stimulated by everyone else's stuff. So that's why they're the sign of the crab. They need a space to escape to, a man cave, a kitchen, you know, for they get stressed, they want to do for others because they don't want to be spending time looking at their stuff.
Interesting, because I always thought they were just the homebodies. That's
They
their
are
survival
the
mode.
best actors of you look at our today's actors that win the most Academy Awards, they're all cancers. Cancers can act. You wouldn't know how shy and quiet
Oh,
they are. Once they walk out that door, they've got a uniform on. It's a business suit. It's a whatever.
yeah.
Great entrepreneurs, great salesmen, and women. And they walk out that door, they're playing a role. But when they come home, their family sees who they are. They just need to. They need their downtime so that they can come back to their family alive, more alive, because they're very sensitive.
Interesting.
And the opposite of that is Capricorn. Capricorn would never blame you for them feeling bad because Capricorns take responsibility for everything. They take responsibility for themselves, for someone else. Now, I'm not saying that Capricorns don't blame people for stuff, but it's from a different place.
Mhm.
It's from the place of if you just did this, like I'm telling you, it's the parent. Capricorn's the parent. Capricorn's the father. Cancer is the mother. You know, the mother nurtures you, and the father is stern.
Yeah.
Capricorn's that sign. You kids quit fooling around. Get to work. Work, work, work. They value work, hard work, and more hard work.
And so together they are like the yin, the yang, pulling each other to their best and worst at all times.
Yeah, the parents. So Capricorn are, like I say, uber responsible. They're people that have lists in their head, lists on their desk, list to do, to do, to do. Get this done, and they'll gladly give you a to-do list and expect you to do it on their time clock. Yeah. And that's that. And then we have the Leo and the Aquarius. And the Leo is now the teenager who's trying to break away from the pack. You know, we're little like pack animals in those
Yeah.
teen years. We all dress alike. We all,
Yeah.
you know, we don't want to be out of the group. Leo now is the place where we go, I'm different than them. I have unique creations. And I would really like if somebody acknowledged that. So you'll read often about Leo archetypes that they need an audience. They don't need a big audience. They
No.
need an audience of one. And
Them. They need an
they're
audience for
very,
them.
very creative people. And what I love about that Leo energy is they can be sparks because they're a fire sign for other people. They
Hmm.
can make a passing comment that is, you know, encouraging to someone who's fledgling in their creativity, and it sets them on fire, and that person goes off and creates something beautiful because the Leo said something to them. And but it can also be they bring the drama back to themselves. There is some drama with Leo. It's a fire sign, so
Yeah.
they're active. And opposite that is the Aquarian, who has no time for drama, no time for me. It's us or
Mhm.
nothing. You know, so it's a very different mindset.
When I find Aquarians are very straight shooters.
They
They
can
speak what their mind is.
they can be
They'll stay
we
quiet
can
and
all
then
be straight shooters. It's the manner that we shoot and who's the target today, where will it land?
mhm,
Um, they're very factual. That's,
mhm.
you know, Dr. Spock was an Aquarian. That's all I'll say. You know, Dr. Spock.
Interesting.
Yeah, very practical. Um, and then we get into Virgo and Pisces. So Virgo is now the not quite ready to go into the job market young university student. So we have the
Okay.
and he's getting ready for that first job interview. He just got his degree, so he's making sure the tie is perfect. There's no stains on. He's super vigilant over details.
Mhm.
You hear that about, they say they hypochondriacs, blah, blah. No, but they just want it to be perfect
Mhm.
because I'm going to go out in the world and I don't want to be rejected over something that I have control over. So I have control over how I look.
Mhm.
The hair is,
Make
I
sure it's
have
all,
control over my
yeah,
environment. A
yeah.
lot of, I don't want to say OCD energy feels very Virgo-like.
Mhm.
And they really are most happy when they're helping others. And sometimes can be overkill,
Mhm.
but they don't mind that supportive role in the back. A lot of nurses are Virgo, you know. Um, and opposite that is Pisces. Pisces, I don't want to do details. Hey, Virgo, you do the details. I'm going to go sit by the river and go, because Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, is the undoing of the self, the personality. So the
Okay.
baby comes in Aries. It's got to go home to the mothership now. Pisces is the last. It's kind of like, um, what have I learned? Collectively, they're very tied into the collective, and that's what can be overwhelming. So they drink, well, not all of them, of course. They all have addictions. Some of them are healthier than others.
Yeah, the addictions to the
Workaholic,
gym is just as
gymaholic,
bad.
workaholic, we all go, wow, such commitment. But when it's sex, drugs, rock and roll, loser. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Interesting.
all about the same thing. It's about escape. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. All these people, the minute a Pisces child is born, they know they're not in heaven anymore. These people yell at each other. They smack each other. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Don't you know? If you hurt him, you're hurting yourself. Like, I mean, not all Pisces are aware of this, but it's this, that's the driver for the escape. I don't want to be here. This isn't fun.
Oh, that makes so much sense
Yeah.
because
Where
I
the
knew
Virgo
I knew
is
a
so present in
yeah.
this earth, in this world, that all the details they'll notice because they're here. And Pisces just, I don't really want to be here. And so therefore they adopt the broken people, the three-legged dogs, the
Mhm.
the 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 men. I'm just thinking of Pisces girlfriends, that are not really going to fill them, but they're going to love them so much back to health, and then they're always disappointed
When they get
because
left.
they didn't. Because I thought I could, I say, I had brought this rock home. I loved it and I loved it, and it didn't love me back. Like, so it's like a victim martyr kind of, oh, but I mean, if you get a healthy Pisces in your life, hold on to them because they'll show you things in the world that you can't imagine. You know what I mean? They're
Well,
because they spend half their time somewhere else. You got to grab them by
that's
the ankle every once in a while and bring them back to earth.
the question though, right? Of finding the healthy one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can become, they can become healthy. Like all the signs. I want to say healthy, maybe not the right word, maybe skilled, unskilled, because we all come here unskilled and we have to learn along the way.
So
Some
how
people
like
learn early. I have a Taurus friend who knew herself in grade 2.
hmm,
It took me till 40, maybe not even yet. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
work
it's
in
we
progress, work
all
in
have
progress.
different, yeah. And this year, 2023, we are all being asked as Jupiter, the planet of expansion and luck, is going into Aries. What date? Do I have a date? Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, soon. May 10th. And it went back into Aries on December 22nd, and it will be there till May. Then it dips back into Pisces. Then it's back into Aries for a year. So Jupiter goes around, takes 12 years for it to go around the sun. So it's in each sign for a year. And when Jupiter gets into Aries, it's a brand new cycle for all of us. Think of Aries as that baby of the zodiac. Anything's possible. And it feels so much like we're going to be more optimistic, especially after May. Between now and March, April, we're still slogging a little bit. After May, we have sparks of inspiration, and there's a feeling of Jupiter and Aries. I can do this.
Oh, how exciting. Because I have
You can't,
Jupiter
you
as a
can't tell an
Virgo.
Aries they can't do something. The minute you say to an Aries, you can't do that, watch out. And I think we're all going to have that little bit more optimism. Jupiter is the luck planet, the makes things bigger. If I have a Cancer cell, I don't want to make it bigger. But you know, in most cases, it shows you what's possible. And
There's
in
also bigger
Aries is an
awarenesses.
actor. Aries acts. Aries doesn't sit like the Libra. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Aries gets a thought, they act. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Oh well. But I'm
And
not
we'll act
sitting here
again.
going, I'm not, yeah, Fiddler on the Roof, Tevye was a Libra. Oh, on this hand, on this hand, on this hand.
Yeah.
Get off the fence. Your butt's gonna hurt soon. Get off the fence.
I think like that's what I'm picking up the most with 2023 and 2024 is that it's making the choice. If you make a choice today, that's fine. And tomorrow you change your mind, that's great. It's having that momentum. We've been so stuck and we can't get out. And now it's like just make choices. Change it in 5 minutes.
Well,
Right?
you're speaking from as a fire sign. That is not easy for everyone. Just change it. I'm married to a Virgo. When I hear the word change, I actually get physically excited. Something new, right? Aries, new baby. When he hears the word change, his whole body goes into fear. You can see his body when I say, we're going to move this over here. Huh? Like furniture moving. Not even furniture moving is good for some
Well, see, I
Virgos.
don't like
Some
that unless I'm
Virgos.
aware of it.
Hey, sorry.
Like um
Like,
when I worked in corporate, they used to drive me nuts because I didn't like people in my space unless I invited you in. So I made it that whatever work was coming to me or had to go out, it was outside of my space. It was
yeah.
outside of my area because if they came into my area without being invited, it spun my energy.
Yeah, you're
So
probably very sensitive to that.
yeah, so it's interesting, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so but to say, oh, just just do this, that's a fire sign speaking.
well, I'm not saying I just do it. I talk about just doing it.
Yeah. But
But
it's just
yeah.
our language is all we have to describe things. And that's what my other big thing that I spent a lot of time in my life doing was conflict resolution.
Mhm.
And so I hung out my thing, to be a mediator for a little while after I retired. And I went, I don't care about these people. These
Yeah.
people really don't want to resolve their issue. They just want to be right. So I took what I learned in conflict resolution, I married it with the language of astrology, and most of my clients using the language of astrology, it was easier to point out how you and your husband are just wired differently. That's all.
Mhm.
You're saying the same thing, you want the same thing,
Yeah.
but you're seeing his speech as being controlling, and he's seeing your speech as being nagging because you don't feel heard. So
Yeah.
let's talk about how you communicate. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really, I just didn't like it. I know you use the word, when you're in the corporate world, and that's kind of what it is. Conflict resolution, somebody sends you to a mediator. It didn't take me long to go,
No.
there's better
But I
use of my
mean,
time.
but like I like how you use that example because I had told someone in corporate, like she's like, he's just not hearing me. He's just not hearing me. And I said, book an appointment. And she goes, I'm not booking an appointment with my husband. I go, well, then you're never gonna be heard. Men are one action at a time. If you say, honey, I need you for 20 minutes, can you give me a product? And he'll say, half an hour. I'll be done this in half an hour and you have my full attention.
Yeah.
He
And that,
phoned me and said, thank you for teaching her that.
It's
their
important.
whole relationship
People don't
changed.
like to be side, it's um if you want someone's full attention, you can't just walk in the room and demand it at that moment.
Yeah, that's rude on
It
everyone's
is a
part.
negotiation. You're saying, okay, when's a good time for us to talk? Of course, they may never want to talk because as soon as they hear, we have to talk, they know it's not going to be good for them.
Yeah. But I mean,
No,
it's just like we
but
need to discuss
yeah,
what's coming up with
yeah,
the
yeah,
kids.
yeah. And
Don't throw
I
it
also
in when
tell
they're like
people
knee deep.
for
So,
those more difficult discussions that when you're triggered, and rather than being I mean, you feel the anger, but you don't have to act on it.
yeah.
Say, this is really triggering me right now. I don't think I can speak rationally about it. When would be a good time in the
Yeah.
next day, 2 days, week?
Or
And we
even say,
sit
I'll
down.
read right back.
Well, and
They're
then
not leaving
you'll
you, they're
get more
just
buy-in.
collecting their thoughts.
Yeah, you'll get more buy-in from the other person.
Yeah.
If I could count the number of times before I figured this out, I tell my son, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. And finally I said, oh, okay, this isn't working. I'm the adult, I have to try something else.
Mhm.
So I scheduled a meeting with him. I said, okay, here's the situation. This is what I need. I need some compliance with this. How do you think you can meet some of those needs for me? Because you have needs, like when you need to go here and there and I drive you, that's a need you have, and I comply with your need. So we wrote out a contract, and he wrote down, I will do this, and it maybe not be what I wanted. I maybe wanted it every week. It was, but I had buy-in.
Mhm.
And then I just had to, point to the fridge where the contract was. I had to say nothing. I didn't have to yell. It didn't tear our relationship apart.
Mhm.
He knew that he could come talk to me about bigger things by scheduling a meet.
Yeah.
So it opened up a different type of communication between us. But I could see I was doing the same thing over and over, getting the same result, nothing. And
Yeah.
I had to change my dance in the same. That's one of my lines all the time. If you change the dance, because there's almost a rhythm, you get into such a pattern of communication. You change the dance step, all of a sudden the person has to look and go, oh, she didn't react the way I thought she was going to. What's
Mhm.
going on? So it's kind of like, don't engage in the dance, change the music, change, like
Yeah.
get into a different rhythm if you can. I know it's hard sometimes. It takes two people to want to resolve something.
Yeah. So
So,
as we're in the dance, what can people do that don't know astrology
mhm.
for the next 3-4 months? Like, so you say, like,
Yeah. Well,
it,
Jupiter's going into Aries, so it's really kind of um this whole thing is independence themes. So Aries, Aquarius, Aquarius are independent. Aries independence comes from a place of, I don't want to be told what to do. That's a different reason for the same, it can look the same. You know, I can say I'm not dependent because I have a fear of dependency because you'll leave me. That's a different kind of, there's always motives underneath the look that three people can say they're independent, but it's all different motivations for that independence.
right.
Right. So, but for collectively, we're really into this. The nodes are shifting. They do that every 18 months. The nodes of the moon, they're going into Aries and Libra. So again, it's going to bring up these things, me and we. It's going to be, and it's time maybe to self-actualize a little bit more, to investigate what you're made of, not through the mirror of other people. It's not like going around to people say, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because then you're only getting their opinions. It's time for your own deep dive. And if you, I mean, it's not like Saturday morning go, oh, I'm going to go dive deep today and self-actualize myself. You're not going to do that. The universe is going to provide you with some stinking situation, some stinking pain, person, ah, and the minute you're in that oh, this is a good time.
Yeah. It's
Breathe.
not personal, but it's
What
personal.
is really bugging me,
Mhm.
right?
Rather than doing the rabbit hole.
Yeah, the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And
It's not about the
in the
rabbit hole.
rabbit
It's about,
hole, there's not much, there's no flashlights in the rabbit hole.
yeah,
If you're gonna do this dive, you want to bring your own light with you. And
right.
like I said to you, I have, sick dog, the sink is backed up, blah, blah, blah. Today, I'm sure 20 years ago, I would have canceled this. I would have blah, blah, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. You're in a different space. And now it's like, they'll fix the sink tomorrow. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
no, I want
I
to
just
have,
won't use that
I
sink until
want to
they
do
fix
this
it.
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's funny that we're talking about sinks because I was just like, my tub isn't draining, my sink, and I'm like, okay, I
yes,
can't put this off anymore, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
So what is today? I look at my little thing here. I go, oh, Mercury goes retrograde today.
of course it
Mer-
does.
the day that Mercury goes retrograde and the day that Mercury goes forward are these types of days. Can be, not every time Mercury, but
Oh,
whenever it shows up in your chart, you might have problems in that area of your
it's
life.
a ruling planet for me.
There's 4 Mercury retrogrades this year. Well, and they are all in earth signs: Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo.
So
So,
that's actually good.
well, there's no
There,
such thing
that's
as a bad
grounding, right?
sign. There's no such thing as a bad one.
No, no, no. I'm saying like because Mercury retrograde,
Yeah,
Mercury. So just to give the listeners, Mercury is all about communication. And when it goes retrograde, like you really have to make sure your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, right?
yeah,
But I'm saying if it's going retrograde in an earth sign, it's like bringing you back in to really look at where are you not grounded? Where are you not feeling your authentic self? Where are you not shining your light for your light? So I think that's as a major positive because when I learned about Mercury retrograde, I went, it's not me going crazy three
thank
times, four
you.
times a year.
Thank you.
This is a blessing for me that you
Yeah.
are my ruling planet. And I'm gonna say, what do I truly want?
Mm,
And I bring it in rather than it's pie in the sky, fairy dairy. It's like, I really want this podcast to happen today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing it.
yeah.
Instead
And
of
it is
going,
about
ah,
retrograde starts with RE. So in any retrograde, what you want to be doing is things, rethinking,
okay.
replanning, reviewing. It's kind of like the universe that stops, the planet Mercury stops going forward for a few weeks, 4 times a year, so you can breathe. And because it's in earth signs, you're going to be restructuring, you're going to be planning. When it goes in Taurus, that's in April, May, you may do Taurus things like review what's sustaining you,
Mhm.
Taurus things, research, buying, negotiating contracts, that kind of stuff. And then in August, September, it's in Virgo. So it's about making some, I want to even say, psychological adjustments to your success, what you're viewing as success. It's time to review some Virgo things. Perfect
Oh,
is
that's
not
interesting.
attainable. Perfect, Virgo thought of perfect. And this goes to the Virgo Pisces axis. Pisces is, let go, let God. Like,
Mhm.
I don't have to do anything. God will take care of it. Or, my partner, my Capricorn partner who's responsible, And Virgo is I have to make this perfect. If the outside of me is perfect, then the inside is perfect. And that's a flawed theory because there's no such thing as perfect. So
But
there
I guess it's in a different way
disappointment.
of in a different way of saying it is just like before you head out the door, is my tie adjusted?
Yeah,
Is it off to the side? Well, no, I'm just gonna do this
yeah,
little
yeah,
adjustment. Or, do I have both earrings in?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
And what is wrong if you just took your tie off?
That
What,
too.
you know what I mean? What if it was loose? Would that be, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, but it's just that little
that
adjustment.
is their gift. That is
Yeah.
their gift. So if you're my sister-in-law, my Virgo sister-in-law, and you come in my house and say, "Oh, you got a cobweb," in front of 20 people.
Oh shoot.
She was young. I didn't say anything because I know astrology. I go, she's doing her job.
Yeah.
I took her aside later. I said, I would preferred you told me that aside. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But if she's my accountant, Virgo eye goes to the flaw. That's their wiring. If you're my accountant, I love you. Your eye went to the mistake. But if you're my sister-in-law and you tell
Don't
me,
tell me. Yeah.
or my partner is telling me my feelings are wrong, we have a different
Mm.
reaction. So each of the blessings of each sign, each of the grit of each sign are learning points. And Mercury, yeah, it goes that. And Mars is still in Gemini until March 26th. It goes direct January 12th. So Mars has been mucking us up. It's been in retrograde. It only does this every 2 years, 2.5 years. And at the end of 2023, we're going to have Venus going retrograde, which happens every 18 months, and it'll be in Leo. So I feel like we're going through this first part of the year, yuck. March comes, away we go, self-actualizing, start feeling what we want a little bit more. It's not that what we want takes precedence over what someone else wants, but it's standing in our own truth.
Yeah.
And then by summer, August, September, when Venus is retrograde, we're rethinking about the people in our life. Do they really make us feel loved?
Yeah. I was going to ask you, isn't Venus the
Yeah,
love planet?
it is, but it's more than that. It's our values. It's what we find beautiful.
Right.
And it's about our self-worth. It's about our self-worth. If we don't find ourselves beautiful, we're not going to attract people
Beauty.
who find us beautiful. We're not going to attract people. Venus was the goddess, back in the Hercules days. She just sat there at the party, leaned back like this,
Yeah.
and the men flocked to her. She wasn't running around chasing people at the party. So it's
Yeah.
what we lure to us. What has a lure to us? What do we find beautiful?
Right.
And so Venus has to do with our money. Because if we don't feel like we're valuable, we're never going to ask for a raise. Has to do with our money and of course love things. And love really is about our self-worth again.
So you can say no, but could we recap kind of all the planets?
Yeah.
Because
What their
yeah,
function
because I
is.
think that's important. Like
Yeah. So if I
when
look at
Venus
a
is doing
chart,
her thing, and if you're not loving yourself, like
yeah.
your life's gonna kind of crumble.
And
So
when
yeah,
I
let's
say
just kind of
Venus
go
is
through.
going retrograde in August, September, when we're born, click, there's a picture of our chart. The planets
Mhm,
keep moving and
mhm,
they interact with our birth chart.
mhm,
In the birth chart, we have the sun, which is our identity. It's kind of our computer operating system, who we are, how we shine in the world.
mhm.
The next very important non-planet, the sun's not a planet, it's a star, is the
Yeah,
moon. The
right.
moon is how we process emotion. What's our emotional coping skills?
Okay.
And again, everybody, the 12 different signs, how they approach. It could also be how we experienced our mother. Moon is mother. Then we have Mercury, the communication planet. So that's it's not only how we communicate outward, it's how we take information in. What filing cabinet do I put it in? So it's kind
Yeah.
of our intellectual filter before we communicate out.
Mhm,
And then we have Venus, I just spoke about, our love
mhm.
planet. And we have Mars. Mars is how we go after what we want. It's our action, it's our anger, it's the god of war, it's what's worth fighting for. That's why Venus and Mars are so connected. Venus is what we love, and Mars is how we protect what we love or go after what we want. So it's our action. And with it going retrograde, it's been in retrograde. I would imagine that you're going to see when it's out of its fulling going forward again in March, the end of March. There might be more world disruptions in March and April that need to happen in order to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my little 2 cents. And then after Mars, we get into the Jupiter Saturn, that space in the sky. And Jupiter is about this expansion, luck. It rules Sagittarius, so it's about learning about other cultures and realizing that our life isn't just our little what's around us. It's that it's a much bigger world, bigger ideas, bigger, a Sagittarian may not speak of, say, I love you. They'll talk more in philosophical terms about what love is this. And that's Jupiter. That's Jupiter planet. And
That's
then
me.
Saturn comes in and limits us and creates some boundaries. And when I say boundaries, like you're going down a road and all of a sudden there's a log in the road, you decide whether going over there is worth your time. Some people just turn around and say, oh, not today. But if I'm motivated enough, I'm going to find a way to get around this log, this impediment, and this is what life throws in our way. People, situations. And once we get over that hump or go under, however, we pat ourselves on the back and say, good job. That's like Saturn kind of energy. Yeah. And Saturn also maintains order. It's our limits. And it's going to be going into Pisces this year. All the big planets are changing signs this year. It's going into Pisces, and that only happens every, it's a 28-year cycle. But it's also going to be meeting with your Neptune, which is free-floating, oneness, energy. And here comes Saturn saying, okay, do something with this. Do something with it. Yeah. And then, of course, you have Uranus, the planet of shock, awe, surprise, rules Uranus, rules Aquarius. So, depending on where that is in your chart and where it's going around right now, you might have some surprises. And the function of Neptune is that God planet. It's that kind of, I'm connected. This is, we're connected to the oneness, some people call it God, whatever your belief is, that we're not just here on Earth as little ants, that there is some other purpose. And then, of course, Pluto we spoke of. Pluto is all about power over yourself, over others, power over situations. It's all about power. How you use your power, how you let others use their power.
Well, and it's just interesting, like we talked about before, how I had my Pluto over my Mars in my Capricorn house. And that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Of
a little debilitating.
And
for
sure 2 years, if not 10.
Deeper at how you use your energy. Mars is our energy. Pluto comes along, triggers that, saying, how am I using my energy? Pluto makes us go deeper.
Well, I found I just didn't have any.
Yeah. Transforms it.
And I was getting so frustrated because I was like, what I knew something was bigger than what I could see. And I'm going, this is crazy. So here's a different question, because we alluded to it earlier. How does your astrology chart, how you're going, okay, so kids born in this time period, we're all goth. How does that, because the crisis of addiction is so rampant right now, and with so many people taking their lives, thinking there's no hope, how can astrology help someone in that realm?
I know exactly what you mean. So over the years, I have had clients that have had depression, and occasionally would openly talk about wanting to end their lives. And maybe because I had a police background, I wasn't shocked by that. I have an Aquarius moon. I can detach. I can, it wasn't shocking. And I knew the right questions to ask, if they had a plan, if they, do those things, which is quite a bit different than addiction. And, half those people didn't plan on leaving us. They just took too much drug, or the drug that they took, they thought was safe. That's a different issue.
Yeah. Okay.
But people who sometimes you could say, Pluto is going over your Venus right now. It
Mhm.
must be really tough for you. There's something about believing, like you said earlier, oh, this makes sense. And I can say to them, this will be over in June. This will be over in
So it
June.
kind of gives them that ray
It,
of light to,
exactly. This is
yeah.
not the rest of your life. You're going to feel like this. So how are we going to use this energy to bring you to a place where you value yourself more? Because it was Venus we were talking about. How are we
Mhm.
going to bring you to a place? What can we do? Do you know what I mean? That it's not, I'm not a counselor, not a therapist, but it's like it gave people hope to say,
Yeah.
oh, there's a reason I'm feeling like this right now. It's
Oh,
not the
like
answer
when,
for everyone, but it's just like,
yeah.
oh, and I don't look at my family's charts, my son, my husband, I don't look at their charts because I don't want to experience them through their charts. I don't want to say, oh, what's happening for you today, blah, blah, blah. That's not how I want, or that's up to them if they're interested. They're not, I'm
If
not,
they come to you, then
yes,
you'll
yes.
discuss.
And
Yeah,
believe
and
me, they
that's
probably will
fair.
never.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally fair because
yeah,
I mean it was like as we were preparing for this
yeah.
podcast, it was like I was like, oh my gosh, that was two sentences that just changed the last 10 years of my life.
Mm, mm,
Because I was like, I'm not this stupid. Like what is going on? And
yes.
and like I say, like I dabble in this and I
Yeah,
look at different things. I'm into like the different like human design and gene keys and astrology. And I'm like,
yeah.
I am missing a key somewhere and I don't know where it is. And so I'm very, very grateful that you pointed it out
Wow.
to me.
Wow.
And so to
Well,
just
I had a friend who was going through a hard time with her family. She felt because she was the oldest, she felt very responsible for all her siblings, and they weren't treating her very kindly. And
mhm,
I over time we chat different things, and I don't, like you say, I don't go where I'm not invited. And
yeah.
when she asked me, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, you know, it looks like you feel responsible, but you're not.
Mhm,
And you think that your siblings should feel the way you do,
and they don't.
and they're wired differently." And she said, she still to this day, and that was a good 15 years ago, will look at me sometimes and say, that made so much difference. They're wired differently.
Mhm,
And if for an Aries, the baby, the zodiac, we think our experience is everyone's experience. And it's not,
it's not.
right? It's not. It is very much uh, they're perfectly allowed to have their reaction. And I see that a lot in conflict resolution. We just put our story on the other person.
Yeah.
They should this, they should
Yeah.
that.
And there's
Why
no
didn't
shoulds.
they? Why didn't they this? Why didn't why?
Mhm,
Oh, and then we build a story. And the story that we build is what separates us from them,
yeah.
not their behavior. The story we tell ourselves about their behavior because we weren't taught how to have these hard conversations
Yeah.
and say, what's going on for you? I'm feeling when you say that, this is how I feel.
Mhm,
Drag them into our shoes. That's the only
yeah.
way there's understanding that's created is when you can drag someone in your shoes or throw yourself in theirs by asking really good questions and layering down deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just going back to seeing what is your opposite sign. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, like Gemini is my opposite sign. And
Yeah.
like,
And they
wow,
may be the people that really push your buttons because
oh,
we learn
beyond,
from our opposite.
beyond,
I have a
but
friend that's a
yet very
Libra,
close.
and I say, how did you ever get to that? Like, I'm
Mhm.
curious. Like, I would never, my mind works in a different way. And this Libra would, she said, oh, I can't do this. What do you mean you can't do this? I have to think about it. Well, a year later, she still hasn't done it because she's still thinking about it. And that
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Perfectly fine. Take 2 years.
Yeah.
But I don't understand it.
But the
And
world will go on without you.
that's yeah. And
Yeah,
but when
so
she does it, she's ready. And I look at that and go, maybe I should be more like her. This is the hard part. Maybe I should take more time before I jump into
make
things.
these decisions.
Maybe I should be more considerate about how what I do impacts others.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and that's where this, when I said, like, I honor where I am, I honor where you are. We're all on our path individually, but how do we work together collectively to move forward?
I think it's
And
easier
so,
to do with strangers than with family sometimes, because we give people the benefit of the doubt, and we have so much history with family sometimes, and this comes up every Christmas.
well,
We
I probably did it with my family more than anybody.
get into the same old roles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So as we start wrapping up, and what I'm hearing you say is, it's not smooth sailing yet. There's still a
No,
bit of rock, there's still a bit of crumbling,
yeah,
but we can start breathing easier.
yeah. But and luckily Mercury is spending some more time this year in Earth signs, so will bring us back to, planning a little bit better, maybe not running by the seat of our pants. And Venus in for 4 months in Leo is going to give us all a little bit more creativity. So we might have some more creative solutions than we have sitting here today thinking, if I have something ahead of me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's how the world works. It puts poop in our way, and how we scoop it up. Some people will make a beautiful statue out of the poop, you know, and others will just sit there and keep smelling it and say, "This is terrible. This is terrible." Where
And we honor which
maybe
one
some
you
of
are.
us this year will have that more creative way of using it, fertilizing with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we're going to have, and this is all in preparation for a big shift in 2024. Another one. We can't have enough shifts.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah.
one at a different
So we're
time.
on the precipice of change, is what I wrote. Overall, 2023, we're on the precipice of change.
Yeah.
Reality that we're used to no longer exists. This is Pluto going into Aquarius. We radically are changing our understanding of who we are. And, I'm not getting political, but when I see people in the States going, "Oh, that's not who we are. That's not who we are." Well, apparently it is for some of you who you are. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to see ourselves as being the problem.
Yeah.
It's always someone else. And
Yeah.
then we're independence. Where are you guided? How do you operate? So it's more
Yeah.
navel gazing and getting our
Exactly.
own poop in a scoop, to use that analogy again. What
Yeah.
adjustment do you desire to create in your lifestyle? And is it aligned with your higher calling? That's that Neptune transit. Is
Yeah.
it aligned with your higher calling? If you don't have a higher calling, you don't think, or those words don't work for you, just are you living your purpose? What's your purpose?
Well, but are you living from your heart? I even take purpose out of there. I like,
Yep.
right? Just live from your heart. If your heart is singing, everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah. I used to have a teacher who said, the question to her was, well, how do I know if it's my imagination or my intuition? And she would say, as you sit with the question, is your heart open? Is your mind clear? And is your body relaxed? If you don't have one of those three, it's your mind at work. It's not your intuition.
And
And
you technically want all three for your intuition to be working together.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's what'll lead us to something better, intuition. Our minds get us into trouble because our minds connect with fear. And realigning with your tribe, align your soul to the light within. That feels very, and if you haven't started that path, it's just sitting with yourself once in a while.
Yeah.
Because we get out on that wheel of busy, and I know quite a few people that are not comfortable sitting with themselves if they're not doing something.
Or even taking 30 seconds extra in the shower. Say,
Breathing.
speak to me.
Yeah.
Breathe in.
Yeah.
Right? Like I always I for years and years I used to say to people, on the hour, every hour, take 3 deep breaths. Your life will change.
Well, put it in your phone. Now we have phones that can remind
Well, I
us.
know, but like you don't need a phone. You just got to go on the hour, every hour.
Mm-hmm. And
Take
having
3 deep
these
breaths.
earth signs, Mercury retrogrades, it's a good time to rebuild our relationship
Yeah.
with the earth, restore, the R words. So rebuild, restore, and even your relationship with those other people who walk upon the earth, you know.
Well, and
You
numerology
really
is all
dream.
about the earth
Yeah.
rebuilding for this year too.
I wrote down January to May. Keywords are fast, possibility. You want to think about what are the possibilities. You don't have to act. Expansion and optimism. So we're, from now till May, we're getting more hopeful. And it's kind of like you get your second wind, but in actuality, it might be your fourth or fifth or sixth wind. You know what I mean? It feels like
Mhm.
it's not like a switch we turn on. It's like you're saying breathing. It's like we have to gasp, remind ourselves to gasp in more air. Then in May, there's change, there's a new pace. Um, you may want to start rationing your energy by May, or breathing slower. So if we're gasping until May, then we're going to be breathing
More
deeper
rhythmic
intentionally by May.
intention.
Change that, and get the resources you need to do what you're called to do. And it doesn't have to be a big calling, we can't all be Oprah. It can just be the smallest things, even if it's like I'm going to help my neighbor. That could be a huge goal.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like it's more to do with the group by May. June to December, rest, recover, integrate, express, and manifest. And we might be thinking by fall about more about I don't want to, well, I'm old, I can use the word legacy, but it's kind of like what resonance am I leaving on the earth? Like
Yes.
what am I dripping? I love it when people want to do the work of self-healing, self-awareness, because then they're not dripping over everyone else.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Taking
clean,
responsibility of your own actions to be a better
yeah. Get
contributor.
that mind-body connection, like
Mm-hmm.
put those two together. Yeah. So it's another little roller coaster because we like thrills.
Yeah. Some would disagree.
Yeah. And maybe just put the intention out there when you think of it or when you're feeling like not like love, that you want to attract love and value into your life.
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up our authentic
Well, thank you so
conversation with
much.
Peggy
That was
Lynch,
fun.
yes, it was
Yeah.
fun. I'm happy everyone was here with us, and stay tuned for our next
Yeah.
podcast.
I don't